What's up, guys? It's Johnny Palacho, all the way from South Africa. And you're watching CCP Podcasting, the place to be for the indie.
What is happening, friends of CCP Podcasting? Welcome back to Beyond the Bell. I am Chris Page. That is Todrick Tabar Ramsey. Mr. Ramsey, how are you doing this afternoon, sir?
Today was a busy day, but it was a good day. I'm really excited to be here because I think that we have a wonderful guest, and I am so excited to talk to him because looking at him, I was like, that's a guy I want to get to know. So I'm really happy that we're doing this, and I'm always with good company, so I got nothing to complain about.
I cannot wait to get into the show today. To be perfectly fair, when we first started doing these Beyond the Bells, I had like a little dream list or wish list, and the name of our guest today was on it, and I cannot wait to sit down and pick his brain. There's a lot to unpack. I'm gonna give you some bullet points. 11-year vet to the ring. I want you to listen to all this. Former Marine Corps. Came into professional wrestling on a date night with his daughter's mother. 800 plus day run as the United Wrestling Network's World Heavyweight Champion. 300 plus days. Future Stars of Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion. At one point in time, I shit you not, held the MLW, IWC Puerto Rico, and United Wrestling Network Tag Team Championships at the same time, simultaneously. It's crushing on reality of wrestling. Unless you've been living under a bridge, you obviously should know who I'm speaking about. And if you don't, here's some words. Mic on, safety off. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Beyond the Bell. Mr. Danny Limelight, how are you, sir?
What's up, mi gente? First of all, I like your shirt. Your baby mama's favorite wrestler. That's yours truly right there. I appreciate you supporting the merchandise. What's up, guys? Chris, Sam, good to see you guys. Thanks for having me on. I mean, I'm excited to talk to you guys. I'm excited to get this conversation flowing. But yeah, you said it. United Wrestling Network World Champion, FSW Heavyweight Champion. I'm also now the new King of Alaska, the 907 Pro Wrestling Championship after defeating Aura West out there at 907 Pro Wrestling in Alaska. Alaska is beautiful, by the way, if you've never been. They don't have penguins, unfortunately, but they do have a lot of other stuff. So been enjoying myself out.
I can imagine, man. I'm glad you see the shirt. That takes me back to like one of the first conversations that you and I had via DM. I saw the shirt, and with me when I buy merch, I obviously know I can go to Pro Wrestling Tees. I can go do that. But what a lot of people don't realize is that I like to give money where the profit margin favors the talent. So I hit them up directly and say, hey, if you do mail outs, let me just PayPal you or what have you, and here, just send it here. Because that way you see more of your profit margin. And that's exactly what happened. I saw this shirt and thought it was literally the most creative T-shirt I've ever seen in my life. And it had to, I mean, dude, I think I even wore it on a Spotlight video we shot on you. I was just, it's so clever, and in your case, it's probably more than likely true.
I got two baby mamas. You know what I'm saying? I got two baby mamas, so I resonate very well with this shirt. But yeah, baby mamas, they love me, I guess.
When we always sit down with these little fun interviews, man. I don't really call them interviews, I call them conversations. And usually we always start with, how did you fall in love with wrestling? In your case, I know it obviously came with The Rock back in the Attitude Era. I really kind of want to go a little bit before that, because before you got into professional wrestling, obviously you're in the Marine Corps. Todrick is on his way out is retiring from service, and I really think that's kind of a cool little starting point for us. What made you decide to hit up the Marine Corps?
Shit. I never had any intentions on joining the military. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a professional wrestler and I wanted to be an actor. I wanted to make movies. Those were my two dream jobs. At a point, I thought about police, being a cop. I felt like that was something that I can do. But because acting and wrestling seemed like hoop dreams is what we would call it in the streets. We had hoop dreams and stuff. Everybody where I was from, we wanted to play baseball for the Yankees. We wanted to play basketball for the Knicks. And it just didn't work out. I was in trouble a lot growing up. Got kicked out of 2 high schools. Finished in my 3rd high school. Didn't go to college. Had no money for college. Didn't know what I was going to do after high school. So yeah, I ended up joining the Marines randomly. Like, I had a homie of mine that I knew from this new school. He was like one of the only guys that I knew because I was only after school for about 6 months. And he was basically told me he would buy me pizza if I came with him to his recruiting station to help him get points. And I said, free pizza, fuck it, like, I'm in. So I joined. Before I joined, I went with him to get this pizza. I go into this recruiting station. At the time, like, I used to wear my clothes baggy, my jeans, saggy. Probably had some shit on my hair. I don't know, but I was a street rat kid. And when I walked into this office, this recruiter was like, the kid's name that was with me, his name was Kenny Toro, but we called him Kenny the Bull. He's like, Kenny the Bull, why are you bringing this kid in here? Look at him, he can't be a Marine, But I wasn't even, walking into there to be a Marine. I just wanted free pizza, I was just trying to hook my homie up. But when he said that, I felt disrespected, like, fuck, like, I don't even know you, bro. Like, and he was like, nah, he's like, take him across the street to the Army's office. They'll take him. And I was like, all right. So I started walking across the street to there was a Marine recruiting office, and right next to it was a Navy office, but across was the Air Force and the Army. And so I started walking across to the Army recruiting office, and this soldier walks out, and this is not me taking a shot at the Army, but whatever. He walks out and he has his hand in his pocket. He pulls out a cigarette, answers the phone. So he's on the phone. He lights a cigarette, and he's just smoking a cigarette and talking on the phone. And to me, visually, like, it looked disgusting. Like, I've never smoked a cigarette in my life. You feel me? But it just looked unprofessional. And immediately, like, I'm very competitive and I have an ego. I have a lot of pride. I walk with pride for a reason. But I was like, this is how he sees me, like, I took it as a challenge. Like, he thinks I'm some cigarette smoking jabroni, you feel me? So I just walked right back inside and I was like, nah, I'm gonna be a Marine. And he was like, oh yeah. Like, right then and there, I had to take the ASVAB test, the practice test. And so I asked him all these questions, and at the time I was only 17, so I had to get my parents' permission. My parents signed me up the next day. Right after I graduated high school, I went straight to boot camp. And 10 years in the Marines, staff sergeant, a Marine Corps martial arts instructor, Marine Corps drill instructor, made over 350 Marines, trained over 500 Marines in the Marine Corps martial arts program, done humanitarian missions in Japan for the, Operation Tamayachi when the tsunami hit mainland Japan, traveled all around the world with the Marine Corps. Had a fun career, and then I got out in 2019. From some point along that time, I had both my kids. One of them I didn't know about at the time. The other one was from my daughter's mom, who I ended up marrying, and then we got divorced and shit like that. But she was good. She's a good woman. She still, to this day, me and her have a really good relationship. My daughter's loved by both of us. And yeah, so I got out in 2019, the 10-year mark. I went full force into professional wrestling. Even though I had kind of started pro wrestling while I was in the Marines, I started training kind of in 2014, wrestled for about a year. And then I had to stop because the Marine Corps sent me to go be a drill instructor, and I had no time to wrestle and train recruits. So I stopped. And when I got done being a drill instructor, it was the end of 2018. That's when I came back into pro wrestling. And in 2019, I had a really solid indie career. Indie year, not indie career, a really solid indie year. And the next year after that was the pandemic, but that's when New Japan hit me up, and then AEW. That's how I got into, that's when my pro wrestling career kind of took off.
What I think is really cool and interesting about it is, and again, I've listened to a couple of other interviews just so I could do a little homework, right? Like I want to be able to sit down and connect. And what I find really cool about this is in an interview I heard, this was years ago, uh, with the Marine Corps specifically, when you went to SmackDown in San Diego,
Yeah.
you ran into
I ran
someone
into a
who
Marine.
was a
So
Marine. Yeah.
basically, yeah.
Without the
So
Corps,
this is
do you think
no.
you got here? You know?
So it's crazy because like first of all, whatever people believe in, I don't mean any disrespect to them, but I believe in God.
Hmm.
Okay, and I'm a big believer of like everything happens for a reason. So when I was in the Marines for about a 5-month period, right when around the time I found out my daughter's mom was pregnant, I got a part-time job selling jewelry at a jewelry store to make extra money. One day I'm selling jewelry. This guy walks into the jewelry store, we kind of knew each other because he was a Marine and I was a Marine. We knew each other from base. We was in the same battalion, but we never really hung out or anything like that, you know. And he walked in. He recognized me. I recognized him. We chop it up. I ended up selling him his engagement ring for his wife. That's the guy that I ran into at the fucking Valley View Casino in San Diego. But what's crazy, the only reason why I was at the Valley View Casino was because I ended up going to Target with my daughter. And she ended up smacking some Blu-rays off like the shelves.
Mm-hmm.
I was in the Blu-ray. People that know me, I'm a huge cinema nerd. Like I love film. You know, I studied film for many years. I love cinema. But I like to collect movies and watch movies. So she ended up knocking these movies down and I started picking them up. And one of them was The Rock's top 10 greatest matches.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes back to like my love for wrestling. Right? So I was like, man, The Rock. I was like, I did, mind you, like I hadn't watched wrestling in probably 10 years. Like I missed, it wasn't 10 years. I lied because I seen a little bit of 2009 Randy Orton. But I missed CM Punk's whole thing, Daniel Bryan's whole thing. Like I didn't see the Undertaker lose his streak. Like I missed that whole era of wrestling. So I had stopped watching, and you know I was in the military. Like watching wrestling wasn't cool. Like I didn't have the time for it, anyways. Like I was always on the go, you know. And I just never sat down and watched. I don't know. I just hadn't watched it. And like the last time that I remember really watching wrestling was like right around the time Eddie Guerrero became champion and he had passed away. And it's kind of like that point was when John Cena was kind of becoming the guy. And I was slowly like fizzling out of wrestling, not because of John Cena, because I love John Cena, but I was going into high school. I was chasing women. Like that's what, like, you know, that's where I was at that time. And so I missed that whole generation. So you know what? Rock's top 10 greatest matches, whatever. This should be a fun little nostalgic watch for me on a random day. You feel me?
Yeah, trip down
So I go
memory
out, put the shit on. Yeah, my daughter's sitting next to me. She's a baby at this point. Like she's got a little bottle in her mouth, sitting on a bopper, watching wrestling with me. And her mom comes home. Her mom was also in the military. She's still in the military, actually. Her mom comes home and she's like, "Why is my daughter watching wrestling? And why is Dwayne Johnson on the TV?" She didn't even know. At least I don't think so. That Dwayne Johnson started like the actor that Dwayne Johnson started from like as a wrestler, you know.
Flex
So
Cavana.
I was like, what do you? I was like, you know that he wrestled before he was an actor, right? Like he wrestled like he was the man, you know, like. And so she had never been to see a show, so I was like, fuck it, let me go look online and see if when WWE is coming to town, so I can buy these tickets. And they were coming the next week. It's so crazy, like the timing of all this. They were coming the next week. So I bought the tickets. I hired a babysitter. We go to watch wrestling. And while we're at the Valley View Casino, I run into Corporal Phillips at the time, whose wrestling name was Joe Gamble. He wrestled on the Indies for a little bit. I run into him at the Valley View Casino. And he tells me that he's trained to be a pro wrestler. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Because I had never knew about independent wrestling. I didn't know about independent wrestling. I didn't know about New Japan. Ring of Honor. All I knew was WWF, WCW.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was the only thing and I only knew about WCW because the invasion angle. Like I was not like a wrestler. Like I never pretend to be, but like I was not like a wrestling nerd, you know, like who like watched everything, knew about everything. Like I just watched it when it was on my TV and shit, you know, like
Yeah.
so I'm learning about all this shit. I'm like, what do you mean? Like there's independence and like I'm like, you mean like the minor leagues? Because in my mind, the way I had always envisioned it was like you had to wrestle in school, wrestle in college, and then I thought to become a WWE wrestler, it was like the draft for like NBA and NFL. Like you had to play through, you had to wrestle collegiate through college.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't know it was like this. You feel me?
Yeah.
So I'm like this all the, like he's telling me all this shit, and I'm like, what? Like it didn't make any sense. But like I got like the bug, you know? Like you know when somebody tells you something and you like, what the fuck? Like this can't be real, you know?
All too real.
So I start like, yeah, I start looking up all this shit on YouTube because YouTube is a wonderful thing. Like, and I'm watching and I'm like, what the, like, this is like, there's people that wrestle like in little gymnasiums and shit. Like, I'm like, I could do this shit. Like, I know I could do this shit. You know, like, I'm watching people wrestle and like not WWE. Like, I'm watching like independent wrestling on YouTube, and I'm like, I'm in better shape than some of these guys. Look better than some of these. You know, like I'm just like in my head saying, this is something I could do. You know, so I told my daughter's mom, who was my wife at the time, I'm like, yo, like I think I want to try this shit, you know, like a little hobby or something. You feel me? I start doing it, and then like real fast, she's like, "Oh, you're not treating this like a hobby. Like you're taking this like a little too serious." You know, like my daughter's first birthday party, like I left in the middle of the party because I had a booking. My daughter's first Halloween, like I wasn't even there to go trick or treating because I went to go wrestle a 6-man ladder match at some bullshit indie show in LA, which was like a 3-hour drive from fucking Oceanside where I was living, you know? And it really quick became something that I was like, yo, like I think that I can do this shit for real, you know? Like I feel like I could be good enough, you know? I know I'm entertaining. I know I have personality. I was a lot smaller back then. Like when I first started wrestling, like I wasn't really in the gym as heavy because as a Marine, like a lot of the fitness that we do is like HIIT workouts, like high intensity tactical training, you know, like combat fitness. So as long as I could do all those physical requirements and shoot the shit out of a gun, like I was good. Like I wasn't in the gym, like you know. So I had to pick up size and stuff like that afterwards and eat more. But it was just so crazy. Like the first like year that I started doing it, and I started making some kind of money. Like first I was getting paid like $20 to wrestle, and then like I learned real quick about merchandise and 8x10s and t-shirts, and you know I'm learning this shit as I go, basically. And so, you know, it was fun. And then, you know, the Marine Corps selects me to go be a drill instructor, which was something that I always wanted to do once I became a Marine. Like, I didn't ever want to be a Marine, but when I became a Marine, like, I started getting, like, you know, goals and shit that I wanted to do while I was in the military. And one of them was to go make Marines. So I go do that, walk away from wrestling, which I think I needed to anyways, because, like, when I first started, I don't like politics and wrestling suck. You feel me?
You're preaching to the
And
choir.
I'm a very outspoken. I'm a very outspoken person, and like I don't hold my fucking tongue to nobody. You feel me? Like what I feel is what I say. And I feel like when I first started, I rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. So that I think that little break when I left was kind of like needed for people to like wash shit, sweep shit under the rug, and then like when I came back, there was a little bit more receptive to me, like certain people and stuff. And then I got some opportunities, you know, and every opportunity that I got, I knocked the shit out the park. You know, like I had a really fun run with New Japan, part of Team Filthy. And then, you know, when I got to AEW, like it was great, you know, fun. But when I got to AEW, I started making a lot of money. You know, like a lot of people like always says that like TK fumbled me and shit like that. He didn't. Like I was signed. I was signed to AEW, signing bonus and everything. Everything was taken care of for me. But I never got the all elite post, you know, like there was few of us that were like on a tier 0 contract where like you get a signing bonus if it was offered to you, you're getting paid, you're getting flown out, you're getting a hotel, like they took all that shit, you know. So I'm making all this money. I'm newly divorced, like 2 years prior to that, like, you know, I got divorced. No, excuse me, 3.5 years prior I got divorced, but I ended up meeting somebody else and getting into a relationship, and then I was single for like 2 years. So like I'm making all this money, I'm traveling, I'm having, you know, like
Papi's being Papi. Let's go.
I like to fucking party.
He's having a good time.
You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep it 100. I like to party. So I'm in the section. I got anybody who used to follow me back then, like 8 to 10 girls with me, champagne, bottles, like I'm Danny Limelight for real. You know what I'm saying? Like this shit ain't a gimmick. I like to have a good ass time. You feel me? And so I'm partying and like I'm doing, and like to some people, like it was perceived as, you know, he's immature, he's reckless, like it's pandemic and he's still out partying and shit like that, you know? But like I never showed up to work drunk. Like I never showed up to work late, you know, like nothing like that. I just would just go out and come home at 5 a.m. and have somebody with me and have a good, you know what I'm saying? Like I was enjoying my life. Like I was having fun, bro. Like I did 10 years in the military. I had a kid mad young. It's my first time getting to enjoy myself for real. So I rubbed some people the wrong way, you know. I was shooting my shot, sliding in DMs and shit. Like I'm bro. Like I grew up. If you see a woman, you think she look good, you shoot your shot. Nowadays, I feel like that shit is like not okay. Everybody like, oh, you know, it's so, to me, it's like maybe I'm gonna get canceled after this fucking podcast, but like it's so weird to me now that like if you shoot your shot at a girl, someone else can look at it as you being weird, and it's like, bro, like mind your fucking business. I'm fucking shooting my shot. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I agree with you. I think nowadays, yeah, me personally, I don't have a filter either.
But I'm not no weird motherfucker. You feel me? Like I'm not like sending unsolicited photos, you know, like nothing like that. But I was just pull up to the room if you want. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I can see how some people like outside looking in look at it as immaturity, look at it as whatever, and I took full responsibility. Like AEW let me go because of my maturity. Was what the exact words that Christopher Daniels told me was that TK likes me a lot. You know, he's giving me a lot of great opportunities, which I agree. I always give Tony Khan his flowers because he gave me a lot of great opportunities. I had a great time at AEW, all bullshit aside. But they were like, when your maturity outside the ring matches your maturity in the ring, we'll bring you back. I don't think they'll ever bring me back, but I feel like the last 4 years, it's been 4 years since I've been gone from AEW. That shit went by fast. Mm-hmm. I've matured a lot. Like I don't party no more. Like I'm married now, you know, like I'm happily married. You feel me? Like I got 2 kids. I met my son who was 5 years old. Didn't even know I had a son. Met him fine. You know, like my life has changed a lot in the last 4 years. You know, like my mindset, my mentality towards things is very different now. But you know, like I'm still a free agent. I'm not signing anywhere. Obviously, I have my own goals and things that I want to do. And lately, this acting career of mine has been taking off. Like I've been booked nonstop, especially this year. I've been shooting a lot of things. Thank God. But you know, I still have dreams of wrestling. But you know, I kind of also am starting to feel like this may also be my last year. You know, like I'm on the line right now of like, if something don't really shake by the end of the year, I might really just be like, all right, I have fun. You know, I'm good. I gave 10 years to the military. This is about 10 years in wrestling. So like, if nothing shake the way I want it to shake, it might be time for me to say deuces. You feel me? And put all my energy towards the acting stuff because it's really paying off.
Well,
but I don't know. You know, I have some cool opportunities coming up, and we're in WrestleMania week right now at the time of this recording. So we'll see. I feel like I was talking a lot.
Hey, you're perfectly fine. You're 100% fine. It's a lot to unpack, but you lay a lot of stuff out there, and something that like I do want to circle back around on is just a little information on me. I've started training in 1999, and I wrestled from 99 to 05 in Alabama, Georgia, Florida. Did and got out early because I, much like you, I back in my day, I was a partier. And I hung out with the wrong people, and it took me down the wrong path. Circle back around, it's a lot. It is a lot to unpack because AEW is a whole nother topic of conversation. Because I do,
you know, I've had a crazy life, and trust me, the book is gonna come soon. I already got the title for my book, From Street Lights to Limelight. It's gonna come soon. It's gonna have everything unpacked. The title go hard, right?
Yeah, it
The
does.
title go hard, right?
It does. That's that
From
right
Street
there.
Lights to Limelight, and it's gonna be broken down to like military, wrestling, and then like in the wrestling there's gonna be subcategories from like all the wrestling shit, then like the relationship shit and the party. You know, like I just
Yeah.
gonna tell my entire story to how I got to where I'm at the end of the day. But
Um,
it's a lot to unpack. You said it yourself.
it is because it makes me sad to hear you say that this might be it. If some stuff don't shake. Truthfully, now when I first came across you was with your New Japan work, and it was with you and Slice Boogie. And oh no, it wasn't
MLW.
MLW was you and Slice. Prior to
Yeah.
that, I did okay. So MLW is when I first came across your work, and that was when
Yeah.
I started
New
diving.
Japan was me, Tom Muller.
That yes. It took me to some of the stuff from New Japan.
Gotcha.
Let's talk. Can I talk to you a little bit, and I'll piece back into some of this as we go. I want to talk to you a little bit about teaming with Slice Boogie. And I know that you guys had a tremendous run, and I know it was cut short. I kind of want to touch on, I mean, holding 3 sets of tag titles at one time in different parts of the fucking, country, and that
Yeah.
it is to me when I stumbled across that fact today, because that's not something I knew. I was
Yeah.
like, that's something that's not to be taken lightly. And truthfully, and I know I'm probably preaching to the fucking choir. Uh, had you and Slice been able to carry on as a tag team, because you guys you're a tremendous singles wrestler, and you're also a very very multifaceted tag wrestler as well. Do you guys think that
Thank you.
maybe if he was able to, if he didn't get injured, and you guys were able to continue that momentum after capturing these 3 sets of tag titles, where do you think the road might have taken you? Or, does that even really factor into anything now?
I'm gonna try to word this as best as possible because this is like a real sensitive spot for me.
We can bypass it
Because me,
altogether if we
no,
need
no,
to.
no, no, we don't got to. We don't got to. You can keep all this shit in here because I keep it 100. But I love Slice like a brother for sure. I did a lot for him, and I think that we had a really special thing going. I just think that he's very selfish, and he didn't want to do the tag team stuff. The injury, yes, the injury happened, and after he got hurt, MLW didn't really have anything for me as a singles guy, and I didn't want to just sit on the roster doing nothing. So I had to ask for my release, and everything was fine. I have no bad blood with MLW. They brought me back a year later to Wrestle Hammerstone in Mexico, and I would go back to MLW today if they was to hit me up and be like, "Hey, we got this idea." Like I would love to go back to MLW and work with Alex Kane, like to do a program with Alex Kane would be like something that I would want to go do. But when Slice came back from injury, like I was still wanting to do the tag stuff, and I think that if he would have played ball and prioritized tag team booking over trying to be a singles guy, we would have been signed to WWE, or TNA.
Yeah.
The only reason why I don't say AEW is because at the time they still had Santana and Ortiz, and they already had our vibe there. But I
Yeah.
think that we could have cooked at NXT, we could have cooked at TNA. Anyway, honestly, because I think that we had very good chemistry, and we were both good with the microphone, and we were very different in style in the ring. But he just didn't want to do it. I would, and he to this day does not want to do it. And I don't even think that I don't think that it was a personally a thing against me. I just think that he wanted to do the single stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But he wrestles local only. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay.
Whereas I'm everywhere. Like I don't wrestle. I barely wrestle in California. I wrestle everywhere, all over the Caribbean with All Caribbean Wrestling, all over the United States. Mexico. I do it all, and I didn't mind putting the single shit to the side to run the tag team and to make a shake with the tag team division. You know what I'm saying? He just didn't want to do it, and it is what it is. You know, like to this day, like we barely talk now. And I wish him the best in everything that he does, but it's just not the same, you know. So
I wish I would have known. I wouldn't have asked that question. Just to be,
I
just
don't
to be
care. You can
perfectly. I
listen. I
understand.
keep it 100.
I understand. I
100.
get it.
I didn't say anything that I wouldn't say to anybody. I wouldn't say anything I wouldn't say in somebody's face anyways.
Yeah, facts. Toddy, let me come around to you. What do you got in the? It's been we just kind of strolled through 30 minutes here. What you got?
So you talked about New Japan earlier, and I am certainly a fan of New Japan wrestling, and I just want to know like what it was like getting your start there. What was the influence that took you there, and just tell me about your time there because I'm a big fan.
Thank you. New Japan is a fun chapter in my wrestling life. I just want to say, thank you to Rocky Romero, Tom Lawler. I had a lot of fun there. I did a New Japan tryout like in 2019 fall, and then the pandemic happened, so everything kind of stopped. But during the pandemic, Rocky Romero had called me and was like, "Hey, we're gonna be, starting to bring New Japan live in America." Told me kind of like the very wave tops of what they were trying to do with the New Japan Strong stuff, and I was down. They brought me in. I started off as the face, and then I turned on Rocky and joined Team Filthy. And the original team was me, Tom, Kratos, and Ryan Taylor. But then Ryan Taylor quickly got signed to WWE, and we picked up Chris Dickinson, who was, at that time he was killing it all over the indies and stuff like that. And then everything that I was doing with New Japan kind of was what got me over to AEW, and then immediately I was doing both. Technically I was the first Forbidden Door guy.
Yes.
Technically,
I am here for it.
Technically I was the first one going back and forth, and I was involved in the first technical Forbidden Door match when it was Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers against me and Varsity Blondes.
That's
when they came over from Impact. Technically.
That is a very good point. That's
part of wrestling history.
Nobody can take that shit away from you. I don't give a fuck. Nobody. And I think that, when you and I
first I guess Moxley would be the first, right? Because did he go to New Japan and win the US championship? That was after, right?
That was after. That was
okay.
way after.
I thought it was after.
That's after.
Okay. So technically I was first.
There you go. And
maybe there's some wrestling historian that'll find something and be like, "Oh, this is bullshit." But whatever.
Even if it's not, we're gonna say it is. It's my show. Fuck them. You're the first. I want to talk a little bit about how I came across you again, like I said, initially through MLW, and truthfully, you've been tearing it up on the indies since post pandemic. I didn't really start diving back into the independent circuit until about 2 years ago. And over the course of 2 years, I've backtracked a lot. And that's what our channel is. Our channel's solely independent wrestling. It's spotlight shows. It's watching full indies from all over the world. We've made a lot of really good contacts with promoters, with companies, with talent. It's been a fun fucking ride. I came across, in our earlier adventures into our Beyond the Bell, I had the honor to sit down with Emily Taylor and with
she's awesome.
With Kirby Carrion. And Kirby Carrion.
Okay.
I totally.
Reality of wrestling.
Yes, sir. It's exactly where we're going because my
favorite fucking place to wrestle at right now. Let me tell you.
I fucking wish that my clip game was where it's at now. Back when I had Kirby on, because there were some hella clips that when we were discussing you and what you had going on at the time, because you had just picked up the Texas Championship and renamed it the Empire Championship. It was fantastic stuff. And truly, now my $1 million question, it's 2025, and I need to see Danny Limelight as the Reality of Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion. What do we have to do to make this shit happen?
I woke my dog up. She was all asleep. She was all asleep, and I woke her up. Look at her.
I got two.
She's all mad now. Because I clapped really loud. Sorry, yeah, go.
She-
Man, first of all, let me just say that reality of wrestling. If you're not at WWE, AEW, New Japan, MLW, TNA, I'll just stop there for lack of time.
yeah,
That is the fucking place to wrestle.
Booker T's making stars, brother. He's
Production, venue, the audience. It's always more than 500 people there. Like 3 shows monthly now. You know, Booker T and Sharmell, I want to give them all their flowers. Kevin, Brad, who are also part of that team over there. It's just so professional. The entire roster is full of amazing talent, guys that look good, train hard, wrestle the part, and know TV. You know, I learned TV from David Marquez at Championship Wrestling, United Wrestling Network, however you guys know it as. And I always tell Dave, like, you know, the tools that I learned at United Wrestling is what set me up for success in professional wrestling. TV is worth its weight in gold. If you know how to work TV, you're a star. But you know, and you talked about my New Japan run and my AEW run and MLW, but I am doing my best work ever at Reality of Wrestling. And I'm currently the 2025 Battle to the Bell winner, which is their version of the Money in the Bank briefcase holder. And it's only a matter of time before I cash in and become the face of Reality of Wrestling.
Thank you. That's all I need.
And listen, a lot of people collect championships. I collect TV championships. Like, those are the most important to me first. Every TV company I have wrestled for, I've won a championship in, except New Japan and AEW. I wasn't at AEW long enough to do it, I don't think. But that's neither here or there. But MLW, United Wrestling, you know, Booker T's company, Reality Wrestling. Like, I've won championships everywhere I go. Even the FSW. You look at the FSW Heavyweight Champion. This is a prestigious championship.
300
you know,
plus days.
Guys like Karrion Kross, Hammerstone, Chris Bay. Like, you know, these are the guys that came from this company. You know, and now I'm the face of that company. And then 907 Pro Wrestling in Alaska. It's the only real wrestling company in Alaska. Is doing JT Westmore is doing some amazing things over there. So I just want to highlight them as well. But you talk about Reality of Wrestling Championship. That's the only thing. I dream about it. I think about it all day. When am I going to cash in? Right now, Zilla Fatu is the champion. I got names for all my championships. This is Selena. You know what I'm saying? The FSW Heavyweight Champion. It's Selena because I'll do anything for Selena. You know what I'm saying? Call this championship right here Aspen because my dumbass thought that Aspen was in Alaska and it's not. And this right here, old faithful, this Jenny from the block. You know what I'm saying? That's Jenny from the block. So when I win the Reality of Wrestling Championship, I'm gonna have to think of a name for that one. I'm gonna just be collecting all these championships as I go. You know?
I need to see it. It feels like it needs to happen. I love the progression that you've taken with Reality of Wrestling, and truly, that brand is one that people should be watching at all costs because it's fantastic. I mean, again, and the level of talent that there's a guy that you not too long
Will All Day, Ryan Davidson, Gino Medina, Gigi Ray, you know, Zilla Fatu, Edge Stone. I could Fly Death Tag Team. Like, I could keep going on. Like, there's nothing but and even the up and comers, Josiah Jean.
That's where I was
fucking Quentin. You know, Tarali Temple's back. Like, it's just so Ryan Davidson. I think I already said it. There's just so much talent at Reality of Wrestling. And yeah, man, like, any up and coming wrestlers that's trying to make a name for themselves, get on TV, like, you need to try to get there for sure. The venue's amazing, you know, beautiful ring in the middle, Titantron set up, you know, 500 plus fans every time. The back has a full gym you could work out in, and then behind that one is a fucking gym with 2 rings you could train in. Like, it's an awesome facility.
It's
Booker T doing his thing there for sure.
Yeah, I've said it for well over 2 years now. Booker T is training stars. He's churning them out. And my trip there started with Josiah. Back in the infancy of our channel, I did a spotlight show. I saw him on a fucking random
Josiah John. He just made his United Wrestling Network debut too.
Oh, did he? Okay, I see he's making fucking moves. I see. I'm a follower on social media, and I fucking love it. I said something to him literally. I think it's probably about a year and a half ago. I was like, dude,
Yeah,
I see it. It's there.
something there. It's something
It's
there
it's
with him.
it's there. And I think it's fantastic. I truly think it's fantastic. And I do think that that you being the man that you are, you know, when that opportunity's right, you're gonna know it. And
Thank you.
that fantastic little 24/7 contract is the money in the bank equivalent is the number one slot. That's the skip the line, do not pass go, stand behind me. I can't wait to
Yeah,
see how this shakes and how this plays out because for you
time would
specifically,
tell, baby.
like I said, we watch wrestling all over the world and see people from everywhere. And I, with you, that needs to happen. It 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 is almost like if I had a WrestleMania story for reality of wrestling, Limelight winning the championship is that story because you have done so much. And I go to your feud with
So funny
Danielson.
because I literally envisioned it like Seth Rollins winning the Money in the Bank, and then when he one of the best cash in, like that's where my mind's at, you know?
Where can you steal it away from somebody else when they're just looking
Yep,
for it, when the crowd's just there waiting for it? It's gonna be fucking
yep.
fantastic. Um, I wanted to talk a few minutes about your. Yeah, we talked a little briefly about your acting. I think that there's a piece, and I left it out of the goddamn intro. Award-winning actor, award-winning filmmaker.
Yes,
You have
yes.
transitioned. You started making this transition into film, and we've touched on it a little bit earlier in the episode as well.
I
That
should grab.
seems.
Look, I got them right here for you. Look, see?
Well, bam, right there.
Oh,
That seems to be the next, obviously, the next logical step for
Uh,
you, as we've touched on. Um, you know, you've always had a fascination or a love for film, just like wrestling, like you touched on.
yeah.
Uh, when did you
I
like
got a new movie out right now, streaming on Tubi, Play Dirty, starring Theo Rossi and Ron Perlman. Make sure you guys check it out. I know y'all hear Tubi and y'all like, oh, it's a Tubi. No, this is not a Tubi movie that you're used to seeing. All right, this
just
is a legitimate movie with amazing actors and action. It's awesome. It's out now. Make sure it's the number two most streamed original movie from the last week, with over 160 million views in 1 week. So,
I'm here for it.
but yes,
I think a lot of
award-winning.
people give it a bad. They put Tubi and they make fun of it on social media, but deep
Yeah,
down we all watch it. That's our
yeah,
guilty pleasure.
exactly. You feel me?
it's
But yeah, you say award-winning actor, award-winning filmmaker. My short film Joe Riv. I shot it in 2020 on almost little to no money. Went to the festivals with it a year later, and we won. I won Best Actor because I played the character Joe, and we won Best Film, Best Short Film, Best. We had the coolest movie. We had won one for like Best Movie Poster. The film won 6 awards: Outstanding Cast, and Best Action Short. And yeah, technically, that made me an official award-winning actor and filmmaker because I was also the writer and producer of the film. I've written a few other things since then. Now I'm writing feature scripts. Got some things I'm working on getting those picked up on right now, which I'm really grateful for. Done a bunch of films the last year, and now this year actually is bigger than last year already. Last year I did 3 movies, 3 feature films, a TV show, and a short film. And then this year so far, I've worked, every month this year. I've done a Netflix show that I did voiceover work on. I did a film in Mississippi called Bruton. It's coming out soon, but also with Theo Rossi and Ronnie Jean Blevins. Um, then I just booked another. Next week. As soon as I come back from Mania, the next week, I'm going to Kentucky to shoot a new movie. I just finished booking, so I'm excited for that one. And I got a phone call last Friday that just passed. It's Tuesday now, so about 5 days ago, I got a call that I booked another role in another film that shoots in May in Rhode Island. So the acting stuff is really starting to pick up for me. And I'm really excited to see where it goes. But I still my heart is still in wrestling right now. Like I said, I'm just playing it by ear. Don't know if this is my last year or not. Might be, might not be. But I'm hoping to just take advantage of all the opportunities that I get, and keeping all the doors open and doing my stuff as as an actor and a stuntman and a writer, so it's fun, and film has been in my life since I was a kid, like you said. So it's hard. People ask me like, "What do you prefer more, wrestling or film or acting?" And there's not one over the other, The feeling that I get when my music hits and I go to wrestle is so incredible, you know. And then like the feeling that I get when I get a phone call saying I booked the role is another one. You know, I just had 2 big auditions this last week. Can't say what they're for because I had to sign NDAs for them, but the one is a very big show, and one of them is going to be a really big new show that's coming out soon.
Well,
And so the auditions went well. Hopefully, I booked them. I won't know until the end of the month, but we'll see. You know, you never know with this. You get more no's than yeses, but I've had a very good luck. You know, I work hard, so the opportunities keep coming. So hopefully, they don't stop.
that's where I was going with is it's good now to see that you're, setting yourself up for the future regardless. Because the more that you
Right.
do now dabbling in film work or writing or acting, you're, to me, it's a solid transition. I mean, you look at guys like The Rock or like John Cena or Batista or several, Austin did some films back in the day. Like it
Mm.
is a natural segue, and it's cool to see you kind of getting ahead of the curve there. Because wrestling, it's not going to be forever. And even if you do, you don't retire at the end of the year. You continue to move forward. You still have this resume that's building, that's just going to continue to build. And that's fucking smart. That is staying ahead of the curve. And I can appreciate
Thank you.
that. And if nobody tells you that's a wise move, we'll be one of the first here today. Toddy, we come around to you.
So you actually just mentioned that you do your own stunts, and I didn't know that. What is that like?
Um. Wow. It's like it. How do I explain it? Because it's kind of like wrestling, like, but like
Hmm.
also like training that I got in the military has helped carry over. Because like stunts, there's falls, there's wrecks, there's fights, there's reactions. There's people high falling, getting pulled on ropes, getting lit on fire. There's hundreds of types of stunts. But
Hmm.
coming from the military and the wrestling, like I already had experience in like wire work, rappelling, weapons handling, weapon safety, combat, hand to hand combat, stage combat. With wrestling, there's wrecks going through tables and doors and getting slammed on the floor with no padding, and like all that stuff kind of like made transitioning to stunts very easy. And then the culmination of like stunts and wrestling in the military, as well as starting to take acting classes, made it easy for me to transition all of that into my acting work. And I tell everybody when people ask me in pro wrestling, like I tell all wrestlers when I give seminars on promo or character work and shit, I tell everybody take an acting class, because all acting is living truthfully under imaginary circumstances, right? Okay, so let me say this again. Acting is living truthfully under imaginary circumstances, and all we do as professional wrestlers is live truthfully in the gimmick under imaginary circumstances, which is the ring, right, or the venue, whatever. And I think that with acting, it's always when you take acting classes, one of the main things they teach you in improv is yes and. Yes and yes and yes and that's all wrestling is too. It's a lot of improvising. It's a lot of yes and you take something and you run with it. And being able to adapt on the fly or recover on the fly. That's something that someone who understands who their character is in wrestling can do very well. I know what Danny Limelight does. I know what Danny Limelight eats. I know how Danny Limelight talks and walks and all that shit. It's not too much different from me in real life, but there is a big difference in certain ways of how I carry myself as Danny Limelight and how I carry myself normally. But because I have done the psychology breakdown of this Danny Limelight character, which is a tool that I learned how to do when breaking down acting class characters for a movie that I learned in acting class, like it helps me understand motivation and stuff like that for a character. What's my motivation? What's my motivation in this match? Why am I having this? Why are we having this feud? Like all that stuff comes from acting. So I tell wrestlers like take an acting class because it's gonna help you, especially gonna help you with your mic work, your promo work, being able to talk and tell stories. Like I think the most important thing about professional wrestling is telling stories, and I feel like what I have done in the last 2 years as a wrestler is tell great stories. And I don't think, that there's anybody that can say that I'm not. I'm at the best. I'm the best I've ever been, and I can have a good match with anybody. I can tell a great story with anybody. Like, I can do anything in the ring now. My confidence level is this way, Yeah. But I back it up, like, it's not just all talk. I back it up. And a lot of that I give credit to being on set and film and learning about character work and learning about production and understanding cameras and shit like that. Like, all that, like, I take classes. I go to California State. I'm a full-time student on top of everything that I do. I go to California State University of Northridge, and I'm going for screenwriting and film. So I'm taking production classes. I'm taking screenwriting classes. I'm taking acting classes. Like, all this shit is like learning about production, and wrestling at the biggest level is the production. So just trying to make myself, complete as possible.
No, I get it, man.
I like that.
I do.
I guess I didn't really answer your question. Sorry. I guess I didn't, like, what it stunts like. Like, sometimes I'm sore, like, sometimes, like, you get hit, you fall, like, you feel it like wrestling, but it's safer than wrestling in the sense that, like, there's still a lot of safety. There's more safety in stunts than there is in wrestling, I would say.
Yes.
It's a big difference, but, like, it's exciting that you get an adrenaline rush, like, you do cool shit, you're on set. But I've never stunt doubled for anyone, like, usually I'm a character that has stunts. So I'm what they call, like, an action actor. So, like, I'll have dialogues, I'll have scenes or whatever, and then I either have to fight or get shot and die or fall down some stairs or something like that, or handle a weapon and shit like that, It's fun.
No, I figured it would be easier for you with your athletic background. And like you said, I mean, unlike you fall with a purpose. I just fall because it just happens.
You're halfway there.
So
You're halfway there.
Yeah, halfway there is right. I had to.
All you got to do now is record it, and it's a stunt. As long as it's recorded, it's a stunt.
Listen, you just and that's content, Toddy. That's content right there. There you go. I want to chat with you for a second. You mentioned future stars of wrestling champions, the lineage of the championships. You mentioned Chris Bay. I would be behooved if I didn't talk about the benefit for Bay that was just a couple of weeks ago. You had the opportunity to not only get in the ring and defend the championship successfully, but you were kind of a part of a cool moment to send the crowd home happy.
Yeah.
I can't, I don't know Mr. Bay, and I kind of feel I feel like I need to call him Mr. Bay. Like, I don't know him well enough to call him by his name. I would prefer to give him the respect that he deserves. But I do want to talk because this was a serious show. It was a serious fundraiser for a guy who, in my opinion, tremendous doesn't describe him. Like, I've always thought that he was phenomenal in the ring, but to be able to step on that platform in the very company that he came up with as the champion, defend your championship, and then be a part of this moment at the end of the show with Cross and with Hammerstone. Like, what's that mean to you? And your thoughts on the entire event. How do you think it came off? Anything that you want to talk about or want to tell us about the show itself?
I was actually just texting Chris this morning. What's today's date?
Today's 15th.
The 18th.
Yeah.
15th.
So this morning I was texting Chris because I have on this day 4 years ago, I picked my daughter up in my new car. I had just bought a brand new drop top Camaro, and, like, there's a video where, like, my daughter's like, "That's you're flying. This can't be yours." Like, my daughter's all excited because the car I pulled up to pick her up, and the top's down, and we're gonna go to Rodeo Drive. I'm gonna take her shopping at the Gucci store. Like, we had a crazy day. But the video is, like, one of Chris Bay's favorite videos. So every time it comes up in the memories, like, him and I always talk about it. So today we had the little, "Oh shit, I was just about to send you this" kind of conversation. I love Chris, man. He's my brother. I've known him for a while, and he's somebody that has always been real with me. Loving, a lot of love there, and he's always been good with my daughter and stuff like that. So this show, like, of course, I was going to be a part of it. I think that everybody that came together was something special. I think there was a lot of talented guys there. A bunch of us all under the roof for the first time together, maybe, or seeing each other for the first time in a long time. It was awesome. The match, was great. I was in a scramble with Kenny King, Frankie Kazarian, Ice Williams, and G Sharp. Some cool guys there, man. Frankie's a legend, Kenny's a legend. Ice is WWE ID coming up right now, and G Sharp's another guy that people should keep his eyes on. But then being a part of that moment, when I'm a bad guy, when I'm a heel, I don't like to be the cool heel. Like I want to be fucking booed. Like I want to be booed. I want to be hated. I want to be that piece of shit. And I had told Joe, I said, Joe, like I want to be the bad guy of the show. Like I want to be I want to do something. I don't know what it is, but I want to do something at this show. And Joe had this idea. He was like, Cross is wrestling Hammer. And I was like, this is great, because the fans love both Cross and Hammer. One of them has to lose, and what would be a good way to send them home happy is if there's somebody that they hate more than those guys, gets. So Joe had this idea, and I came out, and I'm not gonna lie, I think I cooked on that promo. First of all,
You did. I thought when you say you want to have that moment, man, you take a moment and turn it around to yourself. And I think one of the
yeah.
lines was, I'm something about being the world champion, and I'm not even the main event, something like that, and how you flipped it.
And I said it was very convenient, for them to come when it makes them come back, when it makes them look good, just take like. I don't think anything I said was tasteless. I think it was a very smart promo. I talked about Cross's new movie coming out, and at the same time I told him that if he gets in my way, I'll rearrange his Hollywood face so bad he'd want to voluntarily put the Spartan mask back on. And I feel like that bar went over some people's heads. You know what I'm saying? But I got my just desserts because him and Hammerstone gave me a little beating, sent the fans home happy, and then Chris came out and it was something special, man. I was sitting ringside selling. I was all banged up from Cross's Aido suplex and Hammer's pendulum. And I was just sitting there, trying to get my bearings together and, seeing Chris come out and talk and the amount of love that he got from everybody. Like it's one of the things that it's one of the things that I would say that I'm most proud to have been a part of.
The fact that he was able to walk out there. Like, I remember seeing the clip on social media go. I just silently follow and share where I can and like the post and all that jazz. But when I saw his clip, dude, I don't usually quote tweet a lot of stuff like that or anything like or try and put a spin on it. But when I saw him walking, I think I quote tweeted that anything is possible if you put in the hard work. And because that was fucking true. I can't put myself in that position. I am just thankful that there's making forward progress and getting back to some semblance of where he once was at one step at a time. And the fact that all of you guys came together, and this was a talented lineup from top to bottom. AJ Francis was on this card. You just mentioned Ricochet. Like all of you guys coming together
bunch of guys. Yeah.
It's fantastic, and I'm very grateful and appreciative for all of you for doing that because it definitely, obviously, goes to a fantastic cause. And I still believe the GoFundMe for Chris Bay is still active. I haven't checked it in a couple of weeks. I'll have to double check it. If it is, I will link it down below. If you guys want to donate, please feel free to do so. Toddy, let me come around to you.
I have really enjoyed this, getting to know you a lot better, and I can see that you're very passionate about wrestling and you're very passionate about your film work, and learning that you're doing all this and being a full-time student, a father, a husband. That is phenomenal, and it resonates with me because you seem to have that niche. They train us at 10 years in the military, that's when you decide, is this for you, or are you going to move on to something different? And you have that down pat. You found a way to make it all work and still be on top of the world. And on top of that, just overall happy. A lot of people don't find that balance. And I think that that's wonderful. And it really has been like a pleasure hearing your story, hearing all of these things that you're doing. And I just can't wait to see what's next, you know?
Thank you. I think that like I used to take life so serious, right? Like in the military, especially in my earlier years in the military, picking up rank and getting all this responsibility thrown at me at 20 years old,
Mm-hmm.
going to be a drone instructor and having to be a dick to these kids that are coming in trying to join me. I think that right now I'm the happiest I've ever been. And I think it's because I just learned to just enjoy life, like enjoy the moments. Sometimes it's real easy to forget where you started. And I think that sometimes there are times where I'm bitter and like, why hasn't WWE called me? Why hasn't this happened? Like, and it's easy to get bitter over things like that. But when, like having this conversation with both of you guys and talking about everything that I've done in wrestling, everything I've done in life, because we talked about my life, I feel good. It's like, man, like I really did do all that shit. I was a street rat kid from Brooklyn, New York, getting kicked out of high schools. Like that was me, no money in my pockets, like, and I think that like when you learn to just appreciate what you got and enjoy your life and celebrate your small wins. I think that it's so easy to forget to celebrate your small wins because we're so worried about what's next. But it's like, man, like I may not be in a Marvel movie yet, but I'm going to be on set next week filming a movie. Like, I may not be signed to WWE, but I'm going to go wrestle in Vegas for Mania week. Like there's small victories that like we need to appreciate more, and things about life that we need to appreciate more. My wife, she's incredible. She's like the best thing that ever happened to me, and for people that really know me knows that, man, I was a fuck boy. You know what I'm saying? Like I was out in these streets, but she's definitely grounded me and like really made my apartment or wherever I'm living right now feel like a home, like, and she's great with my kid, my daughter, like my daughter, she's incredible. Like, and I'm starting to see that, like, you know what, like the way my life is right now, like maybe I don't need wrestling anymore, like maybe I could finally let this chapter of me go. It's like you said, it's that 10-year mark. Like maybe it's okay for me to let this go and go on to the next thing in my life, whatever that may be. What happens if I put all my energy into film and not just half my energy into it? That's how I felt about the military. It's like maybe I should put all my energy into wrestling, not just half my energy into wrestling. And then it's like, okay, then maybe it's like time for me to just retire and just put all my energy into my family. And I think that that's okay. I want to eventually I'm gonna write my book, and I'm gonna just sit back and just enjoy what I got. I gotta take a note from my dog and take a nap in the middle of the day and just be like, I could do that right now. Like life is very short. We talked about Chris Bay, like that injury that he got could have been. It's a shitty injury, and it could have been even worse. But he's somebody who has found the positive in it. Being able to get up and walk. Being able to inspire people. Now bring all of us together from all these companies, all these fans from all over. People flying in for the show, driving in for the show. Like those are little things that I don't know what I told Chris. I told him, Scott, I don't know what I would have done if I broke my neck in the ring. I don't know if I wanted to ever be next to a wrestling ring again, and you walked into that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like seeing that, and seeing things happen lately, I just look at life so fucking differently now.
Yeah.
Like I used to be so focused on shit that did not matter. And I tell newer wrestlers this. I'm like, yo, don't measure your success in pro wrestling by someone else's success in pro wrestling. We're not all going to be Roman Reigns. Can't.
Right.
We're not all going to be John Cena. You can't. You know what I'm saying? Like, your success shouldn't be measured by that. How many world championships you won? How many times you main event a Mania? That's not a spot for everybody. I have been able to, since 2019, just live without having a real job by just pro wrestling and acting jobs. And that's something that I should be grateful for. And I am, and I appreciate it. And being able to sit down and reflect and talk to you guys today for the last however long it's been, as it was like, man, like, you know what? Like, today should just be a day where I'm just grateful for all that I've done. Like, you guys have allowed me to come in and go down memory lane through my career in the last 10 years, you know? Like, it's fucking cool. It's cool, you know, and this is something that pro wrestling has allowed me to do. It's to meet guys like you guys and have conversations that we don't normally have with ourselves, or that we don't normally have with people, because some people don't give a fuck, you know, like.
Right.
But you guys have, you know, you made this a safe space, welcoming, you know, have fun conversation and reflecting on everything. It's like, wow, like, it's been a fucking cool ride, you know, like,
Couple
it's
of
been a
things.
cool ride.
Couple of things that I want to point out. So I always say this: I didn't grow up and become an adult until I was 32. And when I say that, I always say, and I'm 42 now. I'm 43 in a couple months. And I say this because maturity doesn't come with age. It comes with ownership and responsibility. So everybody grows up at a different time. And I say that to say, uh, when you look back on whether it's your wrestling career or whether it's life in general, and this is, take it from somebody. I've been following you on social media for a couple of years. I've seen you grow over whether it's being on social or what have you. You're a success story. You came from nothing out of the Bronx or Brooklyn, excuse me, out of New York,
Bro,
Brooklyn,
Brooklyn, yeah.
and have made a success story out of yourself. Whether it's with pro wrestling, venturing it out into acting, an amazing family, uh, that's a win. And I know how special your daughter is because I go back to something that not too long ago there was a Marvel movie that came out. And on opening day, I see a picture on your social media, and it's of you and your daughter at I don't know if it was at a premiere or was at one of the showings on opening day. There's a picture. I forget what movie it was too, but it was a Marvel movie.
Mm.
And I got to thinking, you may not be a wrestling nerd, but you are a Marvel nerd. And let's
Yeah.
wind this down a little bit on your love for Marvel and where does it come from? And because as you can see, Toddy, I
Yeah,
dressed for the
it.
occasion.
Marvel.
So did Toddy.
Yes. My dad used to bring home comic books when I was a kid. My dad was a drug dealer. And some people look at that in a negative way, but I look at it as he was a hustler. And he didn't forget about his family because he would come home with comics. We'd read comics. We'd watch the cartoons on Fox 5, you know, as a kid. Um, he would buy me the action figures. And this is another funny Marvel and wrestling thing is I never really bought wrestling action figures. I was never a wrestling action figure guy. But I was like a Mattel, Hasbro, like Marvel action figure guy. And I had a wrestling ring, and I would have my Spider-Man and my Wolverine wrestle like a wrestling match, you know. And I would like have like a notebook where I would keep stats and who's the champion and all this. And my dad would make like belts out of cardboard boxes for my action figures and stuff. And you know, growing up and not, you know, forgetting that those comic books, like, you know, that world of Marvel was just like another way for me to expand my imagination and my creativity and the way I think, and writing stories and stuff like that. Because comic books tell stories, you know, like they long-term storytell, and that helps with pro wrestling, telling stories, writing stories. A lot of people don't know this. You know, I started writing on a word processor. It's going to show my age. You know, when I was 4 years old, my mom got me a word processor. Sit down and try to write stories. And that's where my love for writing film came from. That's why I'm a screenwriter now. You know, being able to go see these Marvel movies, and go to these premieres and show up at midnight and stay past the credits, like that's excitement for me. That, you know, like that's like, man, like I'm seeing my heroes as a when I was a kid. I'm reliving these. I know a lot of people are like tired of superhero movies, but I'm always gonna go see them. Anytime Marvel has a movie, I'm gonna go watch it. I don't care if it's played out or it's they keep going back to the same IP. Who gives a fuck? You don't like it, don't watch it.
Thank
I
you.
can't wait for tonight. I can't wait for the season finale of Daredevil tonight. Like I'm fucking ready. Like that Marvel has been a huge part of my life, and like it always will be. Spider-Man specifically was always my favorite, but that's
what draws you to what draws you to Spider-Man over all the
he's from New York.
That should have been a
he had a
dead
hot
fucking
girlfriend.
giveaway.
He had a hot girlfriend. He had cool his costume's cool as fuck. But I also I like that Spider-Man is a leader. And what I mean by that is I know the Tom Holland version of him is like they play him very young and immature. But if you watched like the Fox 5, Spider-Man animated series of Spider-Man, if you read the comics, like he led them in Secret Wars. Like he's always gonna do the right thing. I think that catchphrase, with great power comes great responsibility. Like, bro, like he could have easily like not give a fuck about a lot of things, and he does. And it doesn't matter who he loses in the process, like whether he's gonna lose his girl, he's gonna lose his arm, he's always gonna do what's right. And I think that, out of all three Spider-Man movies, like Tobey was my favorite, but I think that was because I was a kid. Watching it as a kid was insane. Like, but I remember watching the trailer in theaters, and Spider-Man swings past the Twin Tower buildings or whatever it was. Like, I was so excited for that. Holy shit! Like, this is badass. Like, and now Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, I thought was the best. I thought he was the best Spider-Man, but I felt like his movies kind of fell flat. And I think Tom Holland is a pretty good mix between the both of them. But watching No Way Home and seeing them all three together, like to me that shit was bananas. I'm like, this is sick. And I see people hate online on Marvel movies and they trash superhero movies and stuff like that. And I watch all movies. I watch film. One thing I do is watch fucking movies all day. And it doesn't matter what generations I watch new movies. I go back to the silent film era. I watch film noir. Like I study film because that's just my passion. But the way that Marvel was able to tell a 10-year story with the Infinity Stone saga, and that culminate, like, how can you not be like, this is fucking awesome? Like when Captain America picks up that hammer, like when they all come through that portal, like that to me was like, this is amazing. This is like fucking awesome moment, like we're all these superheroes from all these, like that had never been done before. Like different movie franchise coming together to one big storytelling. And then we got Thanos like popping in and out and every now and then. Like that to me was fucking awesome. Like I go to the movies at least once a week. I go to the actual cinema because I like to sit down with a popcorn and a hot dog and my fruit punch and watch a movie. I just went on Sunday to watch Warfare. Fucking awesome movie, by the way. That is one of the most intense military war movies I've ever seen, and it's also like one of the most realistic to what actually happens there. Like if you haven't seen it yet, or like just go watch that movie. It's incredible. But I go once a week to watch them. And I don't care what's the newest movie out. The week before that, I was watching Jason Statham's Working Man, which I thought was awesome. Like I just go and I can't wait. Like Thunderbolt, I already got my IMAX premiere tickets for Thunderbolts. Like
yeah,
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Toddy,
I think a lot of people with those comic book movies, they like to make fun of it because it makes you take a look at yourself. Because one of the things that was inspirational, a lot of us grew up and maybe we didn't have everything that we needed, but you could be different and you could still lead, like you said, be on top of the world. And so it's so easy for people to root for them, but it makes them take a look at their own life and the things that they dislike. And so you don't like it when the spotlight's turned back on you, but comic books have always been inspirational. It has always made people feel like the impossible is possible because this person has this set of circumstances. I can relate to that. And so here we are. So,
True.
and your story could easily be made into a movie or a comic because of where you came from to where you are now. And you made what a lot of people, the impossible possible.
Thank you. I just started watching not Marvel, but Immortal. Have you seen that? You guys familiar with Immortal? Oh, not
you can't
Immortal.
see my setup
Invincible. Invincible. Sorry.
You can't see my setup yet because my stuff, like I literally just got stationed here at Fort Benning from Korea. So I have to keep this as my backdrop so people don't see how sad my apartment is till my household goods get here.
Yeah, I kept saying Immortal, but I meant Invincible. And I just started watching that, and I'm like, man, that's a pretty good show too. Like, I never read an Invincible comic. I didn't even know what it was, and now I'm like learning about it. And I'm like, this is sick, you know. So for sure, this has been awesome.
I'm telling you, man. When I found out and heard that you're a Marvel buff, and I had, growing up, you had quite the collection. I knew this was something we got to dig into a little bit because I'm not as big a Marvel guy, but I knew that Todrick was, and that was just icing on the cake of what was going to be. It was already a great conversation. I do want to ask you one more thing, and we'll get ready to tie a bow on things. And I ask this question to everybody who comes on our show, especially you guys that are traveling the indies and doing your thing. And you would probably have a much better or a much deeper answer than most, considering you are booked everywhere, and for a good fucking reason. Our platform is strictly independent wrestling. It's all it really is. So, like I said earlier, it's really all we do. If you're with you being out there on the scene, and I'll preface this by he's being put on the spot. This conversation's been organic from beginning through right now. If it doesn't mention your name, don't be that fucking guy. Don't do it. Just don't. If you had 5 or 6 people, or it doesn't matter, who should I be watching? The beauty, and I'm gonna tell you why I ask you this question once you give me the answer.
Who should you be watching? Well, I'm a Zicky Dice guy.
Okay.
Love Zicky Dice. I'm a Chandler Hopkins guy. Love Chandler Hopkins. He's at Reality of Wrestling. He's done some appearances at AEW and Ring of Honor and TNA. Will All Day.
Mm-hmm.
Love Will. Ryan Davidson. He's incredible. Mm-hmm. In Vegas, let's see. Dante King. He's a little up and comer. Him and his girlfriend Gypsy Mac. They've been doing some good work out there. I'm a Bryce Saturn fan. I don't know if you guys know him. He's out of Arizona, but he's really talented. If we're looking at the Wisconsin, Minnesota area, JDX, somebody I'm a fan of. Rampage Santana, who's also part of that area. He's someone I'm a fan of. Female wrestlers that I think are killing it right now. Aaliyah James, Jada Stone, Gigi Ray. I'm a huge Gigi Ray fan. Maya World. Who else? I give people their flowers. Josiah John, Fly Death, and just the name JT Dunn. I don't know if you know him out of the Northeast. That's my dude. Shout out to JT Dunn. Shit, I don't know. I'm trying not to forget anybody. I don't want nobody getting no butthurt and shit.
No, that's why I prefaced it. And my shits
That's EJ Sparks. EJ Sparks is another good guy. New Heritage Champion is coming up. Lights Camera Faction, they're part of Ice Williams Group. You got Watson, Fresco, and Braxton. They're Ice Williams Group. They got some talent, some charisma going over there. Who else? Yeah, there's this young kid up and coming called Reese Maddox. I don't know if you guys know. I just wrestled him at Reality of Wrestling. He's 17. He's gonna be good.
We will be seeing him tomorrow night. No, Thursday night at House of Champions.
Oh yeah,
in Orlando.
Yep.
He's fantastic.
He's
Fantastic.
yeah. He's a good up and coming kid. I just had a really good match with him. I'll be on the lookout for that dropping the reality of wrestling.
I saw that, and I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I think that's off the top of my head. I try to name as many people as I could.
Hey, listen. Here's why I ask, because again, our platform's independent wrestling, and as you're well aware, we've shot a spotlight show on you. You were fantastic enough to pop in our live stream on Twitch and even speak to our channel for a few minutes via chat, which thank you for that. Meant to say that well before now. But our spotlight shows, not only are we looking at you or the talent that we're spotlighting.
Oren West out of 907 Pro in Alaska. Oren West is another one.
Okay, all right.
It's gonna be good.
We do this because we'll come back around and we'll be looking at their stuff. We'll spotlight them. But not only are you giving us people that we may or may not have seen before, you're giving us their opponents who may be local to specific areas. And the more we see, the better. So instead of giving us like 10 or 12 names, you're actually giving us probably closer to 100 if you look at 7 or 8 matches apiece. That's the beautiful thing about our platform and how we continue to grow, is because guys like you are out there. You're working with these guys. You know who the hidden gems are and who we should be watching and who we should be taking a look at. This is exactly how our platform continues to grow.
Jay Rios de la Sangre, Tito Colado. Man, names keep popping up.
I can't believe that we made it an hour and 20 minutes into this thing and we did not talk about your series with JDX. I feel like
yeah, it's a good one.
That guy's so fucking talented too. We appreciate your time and appreciate you coming in and chatting.
Thank you so much for having me.
The pleasure's been all ours. I know that we have probably just scratched the surface, and would definitely welcome you back down the line if you were inclined to come back and chat with us. Maybe it may not even be about wrestling, man. We may be chatting about your next feature film.
Talk about something else, you know? Yeah, I'm down. I'm always down to talk the shit.
Yeah, man. Is there anything that you would like to say to our audience before we close it
out? Yeah, just thank you guys for having me. You know, this was a fun conversation. I didn't realize the time went by that fast. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day. And all the fans that watch, listening, thank you guys so much for watching and listening. Make sure you guys subscribe to their channels and follow these guys as well, and keep sharing their posts so more people can see what they're doing here. I think it's special. Check out my new movie on Tubi right now, Play Dirty. My new show on Amazon Prime, On Call. I got a bunch of other things coming down the pipe real soon. So if you follow me on social media at Danny Limelight, I post constant notifications about what I have coming out, what's coming soon, and stuff like that. And yeah, I hope to see you guys at WrestleMania week this week, or whenever this airs. I hope to see you guys at the shows.
We are making trips. It's I came across a couple of feds out in SoCal.
Where you guys based out of?
I'm in Florida.
You're in Florida.
Tampa, in the Tampa Bay area.
Oh, I'll be there. Oh, okay. In May, I'll be in Orlando for some ACW All Caribbean Wrestling tapings. You guys should come. I'll get you guys tickets.
You say less because that's an hour and a half trip away. I will definitely start.
Around. Yeah, I'll get you guys tickets to the show for sure.
And we'll come down for damn sure.
For sure.
If you guys are that close, and make sure you have some new T-shirts because we come.
I will. I'll try to. They just so fast.
Yeah, and too, I keep forgetting. You know, traveling with shirts is probably not the best idea because you can only pack so much. It's
all good.
But
I got ProWrestlingTees.com/Danny Limelight. All my designs I put up there anyway. So
it's right there, guys. This is how you too can share and support independent wrestling. Danny Limelight on all forms of social media, X and Instagram. ProWrestlingTees.com/Danny Limelight. It's been on the screen the entire show, and if you're not following, shame on you. You've made it this far in our conversation. You need to go hit the subscribe button. It's super free. Hit the follow button. It doesn't cost you anything. And he is quite the talented follow on social media. If you're lucky, you get a clip of him roasting somebody with a microphone in his hand. Which is fantastic, by the way. I don't fault it at all. I applaud it. For Todrick Tavar Ramsey, for Danny Limelight, I am Chris Page, and we will see you next time.